Hey everybody, this is Andrea Pocket. I am president and co-founder of Stigma-Free Mental Health Society, and I welcome you to our Stigma-Free Voices podcast. Today, I am welcoming a new guest, Omar Sharife. Do you want to say hello? Where are you coming in from? And yeah, would love to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm Omar Sharife. I'm from Vancouver. That's where I'm based.
Nice. What part of Vancouver? I used to live there for quite some time.
I'm right in the city, close
In
to
the
city.
core, yeah.
Yeah, it's the best place.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a beautiful city. Well, thank you for tuning in today. And I am excited to share your bio, dig into multiple questions to learn about you and your good work. Before we do that, I just want to say a few things about stigma-free mental health. We are offering our Rural Minds Matter peer support training coming this weekend. So the 27th and the 28th. We hope that people will register. It's only a $50 admin fee, 12 hours of training. You get a certificate. You learn about the fundamentals of peer support, how to support perhaps farmers or agricultural workers, rural residents, and people in your community. So we really hope you will sign up. So I just had to say that, as I'm super excited to do that this weekend. Okay. All right, Omar, I'm just going to start with reading your bio so people can get a sense of what you're all about. Does that sound good?
Absolutely.
Okay. So Omar is a vitiligo advocate, TEDx speaker, and adventure content creator dedicated to bringing awareness to how we view identity, self-acceptance, and mental health. Omar's own journey with vitiligo began at the age of 19, sparking years of intense self-identity and mental health battles. Now, in his late 40s, he uses that lived experience to demonstrate how to embrace what some might view as a weakness. As the founder and CEO of the Vitiligo Group and a global board member steering international awareness, Omar is committed to reducing stigmas, improving mental well-being, and building a thriving community. Well, Omar, I think you're in the exact right place being on the podcast with stigma-free mental health. And I feel that your bio really reflects a lot of the same values that we cherish so dearly here at our charity. So thank you for the good work that you do.
Well, thank you, and thank you for having me. I appreciate being here.
Amazing. Okay, so let's start off. So outside of your titles as a founder, speaker, how do you describe yourself to someone you just met, as an example?
Well, I'd probably say I'm a bit of an adventurer. I love to travel. I've been to probably about 45 countries now.
Oh,
I love to ski. I love to hike. I love to cycle. I'm just somebody that loves to like experience life and do things and be in places that are unique. Last year I did hot air ballooning in Turkey, and I'm like, I just take me to these kind of places. I love it. That's who I am. Outside of my work and the things that I do, that is me. I'm an adventurer, and I love doing new things.
yeah. And I think there's so much more to us than just being a founder, like Andrea, the co-founder of Stigma-Free Mental Health, or the president of Stigma-Free. It's like, no, I'm writing a memoir. I'm obsessed with dogs. Like there's so much more about us that a lot of people don't learn. So I really appreciate those descriptions. And I heard Turkey is fantastic.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is quite an experience. And so let's dig in a little bit more. Your journey with vitiligo, and that started at age 19. What were those early days like for your mental health? And what do you wish you could say now to your 19-year-old self when you were first diagnosed?
Yeah. 19, it was an interesting journey because at 19, I had just moved out of home. I was really trying to be independent. And what started for me, it started with a heart-shaped spot on the middle of my forehead. Um, And at that time, I didn't really know anything about vitiligo other than the fact that Michael Jackson, being the most famous person with it, had it. But there were so many rumors and things around Michael Jackson that it was almost a bit of a joke. So I had some friends like, oh, you're turning into Michael Jackson. At first, because it was so small and I was still awaiting kind of information from a dermatologist, it was like, okay, once I get to a dermatologist and we get the right medication, it'll go away. So for the first couple years, I guess I was okay. But then once I started treatment and speaking to doctors and realizing that there's actually no cure and that the treatment paths are invasive in the sense that they're quite, you have to put these creams on daily for them to work. They only work or generally work when you are newly diagnosed. So for somebody like me who's now had it 25 years, it wouldn't really work. But I also started to creating rules to kind of make me feel comfortable in certain situations. There was a point where I wore a full face of makeup to cover up the vitiligo. So I was unknowingly creating anxieties that would come to bite me in the butt later as the vitiligo spread. And I guess what I would love to say to my younger self, I guess, as I said, it was like that time where I was like kind of like reaching out to be my own person. So going through this journey with vitiligo, I was also kind of keeping that to myself. I was not in a position or wanting to share what was going on in my head with the vitiligo. Also being a guy, I guess, at that time, 25 years ago, we were also not talking a lot about mental health. So the craziness, and I say craziness because I didn't have anybody to speak to about it. So in certain ways, I was like, why am I going through this? Am I the only one going through this? And I can't even talk about it. So I kind of wish that my 19-year-old self would have opened up a little bit and spoken to people, and maybe it would have helped guide my journey and not allow me to fall as deep into the mental health challenges as I did later on in life.
Yeah. And I think when we're facing mental health struggles, I know for me, when I moved to South Korea and I hid the fact that I had bipolar disorder. And don't you think that sometimes the anxiety from the hiding can be like terrible, just as worse
Uh,
as so many other things?
yeah, that was probably one of the, I vividly remember it feeling like a weight, like literally something on my shoulders. Um, and one, carrying the weight of the mental health, and then carrying the weight of, you can't see it on me, even though I'm sweating bullets because of my anxiety. I'm not going to tell you I'm having anxiety. So that just kind of like added to it. I honestly wish I opened up a lot earlier.
Yeah. So you're in your 40s now, and how has your view of your skin condition changed over the years? What was the turning point for you?
Um, well, it was interesting because I had never really been in a room with other people with vitiligo until maybe 5 years ago. So all of those thoughts, and I was described by a therapist once I started seeing a therapist maybe 5 years ago as a well-guarded castle. Um, I think what I've realized is that I was trying to control everything else around me because I had no control over my vitiligo. I did things like wear long sleeve shirts because it made me feel a little bit more comfortable. I um, stopped wearing t-shirts when I got a spot on my elbow. I said to myself, essentially, that's it, no more t-shirts. And the same thing with like shorts. Middle of summer, and I'm wearing jeans, and it's sweltering. So this idea of controlling things that I don't have any control over is kind of what has changed. I'm still the same guy. I'm still the same person who doesn't necessarily have control of what my skin is going to do, but I'm okay with that. Whereas before, I was trying to fight it and trying to hide it, and trying not to talk about it, trying not to be seen, and that's definitely shifted now.
That's beautiful. So you're not only creating awareness in the world, you're encouraging people to accept themselves, and we accept ourselves, right? Like in the struggles that we're facing. And so creating that understanding within yourself is very powerful. And I really think that it sets a tone for the work that you do. Definitely. Okay. So as an adventure content creator, and you can tell me exactly about that, you show a lot of your daily life online.
Mm.
And what are you trying to achieve with those social media platforms?
Um, I think one of the words that comes to my mind is representation, first off. I think for people with vitiligo, um, it's kind of this idea of like, if you don't see yourself represented, maybe you won't achieve these things. So, you know, showing off the fact that I can climb a mountain and that I can ski and that I can do all of these things for somebody with vitiligo maybe opens the door to allow them to feel comfortable in those spaces. But then on the same token, I do a lot of like comedy stuff and I like to like play with how I present my message in maybe a bit of a lighthearted way. And I feel like that allows people maybe without vitiligo to be invited into the conversation without it being so heavy, and maybe them having a way to relate to it without it, again, being so heavy. So I guess representation, inviting other people in, and just kind of spreading awareness and showing that somebody with vitiligo can laugh and do all of these things, and have fun and live a normal life.
Exactly. And humor is such a good way to engage people, to bring up the conversation of mental health in a healthy way. That's fun. And I don't know, do you have like a favorite post that you've done perhaps, or something that got some a good reaction?
Yeah. I mean, I it's probably my best reel and it's gone viral every
There
time
you
I
go. That's the one I want to
did
hear
it.
about.
And it's literally me dancing around like a fool. And I said, that the caption was that I was preparing just in case I turned fully white. So the joke about dance skills. Um, and that one is that people just die laughing of that. And I was not intending to post it because I didn't think it was good. I mean, I laugh at my stuff all the time, but I also have to be a little bit careful when I post. I have to kind of second guess myself a little bit. Are other people going to laugh as well? I might think it's funny. I have a responsibility to be an advocate, but also not an idiot or take advantage or whatever that might
Yeah.
be. So I kind of, yeah, I almost didn't post it, but I'm so glad that I posted it because people are laughing hysterically with that one.
Yeah. And I think when we're our raw selves and put it out there kind of thing, and you know that it's nothing offensive, and a lot of times people will just take to that and know that and enjoy that. So I think that's really awesome, and that's a good example. Yeah, so I know that you're really into adventurous activities. You touched on that earlier, like skiing, hiking, cycling. How does getting out into the mountains or for skiing or hiking really help support your mental well-being?
Yeah, I mean, I always joke with my friends, like, I do a lot of hiking. I complain all the way up the mountain, but I'm like a child running back down because I'm so excited and the adrenaline of, climbing a mountain and getting to the top. I joke that it's 2 feet in a heartbeat to get up there, right? So no matter what you're going through, no matter how old you are, no matter how slow you are, it's still 2 feet in a heartbeat. But the success of getting to the top of the mountain or being a good skier or cycling a long distance, for me, those are things that I'll come home and I'll feel great because I've done them, but they translate into what I do on a day-to-day basis, in terms of work and just executing life. If I can climb a mountain or climb the tallest mountain in Vancouver, I'm successful. I can do some things. So it helps me translate, and it feels good.
Yeah. Good for your mental health and well-being and getting out there, right? It's so
Yes,
important.
absolutely. And we
Doing what
live
we
in a
love. Yeah.
place, you know,
Yeah.
we need to
Yeah.
explore our backyards, right?
Yeah, exactly. Canada's really good for that. Okay, so let's talk about the Vitiligo group. Okay, so I would like to know, how did you launch this? What it's about? What is the goal and mission? Let's hear about this.
Yeah. So we started three years ago. So this month is actually Vitiligo Awareness Month. This is our third Vitiligo Awareness Month that we've been operating. We started, I guess it would be 2024, two years ago. Well, three, but 2024. And we started by sharing stories. I think what we had seen at the time was that there were a lot of pictures of people on um, on social media, but I wanted to go into like what is the story? What is the story behind people's journey to where they are to get to a point where they're comfortable sharing their picture online and sharing their story? I know for myself, it was like 20 years of dealing with all of those mental health issues before I was actually in a room with other people with vitiligo. I um, was constantly searching for um, a group or people that I could connect with and people that I could relate to. Um, and I wasn't seeing that until one day I found a post randomly about a group meeting in LA. So I jumped a flight and went to LA. And it was the first time that I was in a room with 10 other people with vitiligo. We talked about our journey, and I mentioned about the crazy. I know that's a big word, but all of those things in my head that I was telling myself and the anxieties and rules that I was creating by sitting in that room, I was like, oh my God, I'm not the only one. These people have gone through a similar journey as well. And I walked out of there like super empowered. That to me was my kind of turning point and what really led me to want to do a group for Canada. There was nothing here in Canada. There's plenty groups across the USA, plenty groups around the world, but there was nothing here in Canada. And that kind of inspired me to try and create that group, try and put people in a room or even in a Zoom call with other people with vitiligo, and really create a community so that people are not alone. We've
Mm.
recently rebranded as the Vitiligo Group. Previously, we were Vitiligo Voices Canada, and I had two other co-founders with the Vitiligo Voices Canada portion. Due to different priorities, they've left the organization, but it allowed us to rebrand. One of the things that I noticed when we started was we wanted to do this Canada specific. It was for Canada, but we started doing these monthly calls and asking people to share their stories. But we got stories and community coming from all over the world. So I felt like Vitiligo Group, although we're Canadian based, allows for people around the globe to be part of this community.
Mm-hmm. Why is community so important? I know you said, so you know you're not alone. What else is there?
I mean, I think that one kind of hits the nail on the head is
Mm-hmm.
not being alone. The nature of vitiligo, we are our own worst enemies when it comes to vitiligo. And vitiligo is not static in the sense that you get one spot and it stays the same. It's this constant moving target. And even if it doesn't move for people, it's the unknown of whether it will move. So that can be really challenging for somebody to um, navigate day to day when they're like, well, I don't know what I'm going to look like tomorrow. And I kind of, when I explain this to people that might not have vitiligo, I always kind of say, think about like waking up in your house and the windows moved, or the doors have
Mm-hmm.
moved, or the kitchen is moved to where the bathroom is, and you're like, how did that happen? And then it moves back the next day. And this is what people kind of have to deal with in terms of their identity. So it's their identity changing on a regular basis, having community to be there, one, to realize that you're not the only one going through this, but also to be there when you're like, you know what, I'm not having a great day today. I just need somebody to talk to or, relate to.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that metaphor. It makes it very powerful to think about it like that. Like something has moved in your house. So that's,
Yeah.
that's a really good metaphor.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of sense and helps put it in perspective. Like something has changed and you don't expect it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So you're working on a local initiative called the Vancouver Vitiligo Week. Can you tell me what that's all about and what you hope to accomplish for the community?
Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited about this one. I've been working on this for years, I think. I mean, I've been dreaming it for years and really working hard on it this year.
Mhm.
Essentially, I guess I've been lucky in my advocacy work that I've traveled around the world. I have met many people with vitiligo, and been able to do some really cool things. We had a conference in Egypt a few years ago with about 50 different advocacy groups around the world. And
Wow.
on our off time, there was about 10 of us, 8 or 10 of us, that went to the pyramids and got on camels. And I'm like, isn't this the coolest thing that there's 8 of us with vitiligo doing this activity? And the social anxiety that some of us feel in spaces, public spaces, on our own, seem to kind of evaporate when you're part of a group. um,
Mm.
that's exactly what I wanted to recreate. Right now there are a lot of conferences, a lot of meetings, a lot of Zoom meetings for people with vitiligo, but they tend to circulate around medical or um, medication, or what is the newest treatment, and then the offshoot being that you meet somebody with vitiligo. And I wanted to turn that around and be, let's
Yeah.
do something exciting. Let's go on an adventure, as a group of people with vitiligo. Yes, I'm sure there'll be natural conversations about medication and what people are taking or what they're doing or what they're not doing, but just an opportunity to connect. I've planned some things like zip lining, going up to Whistler, doing some float plane, scenic tours around Vancouver. I've managed to get actually Mayor Ken Sim to actually officially proclaim August 16th to 21st Vancouver Vitiligo Week. So we
Mm.
are live in terms of promoting the event. I am hoping to have a good sized group come out to Vancouver, and not just locally, but the intent is to actually bring people from around the globe to Vancouver. The intent is not to do this as a one off. The intent is
Yeah.
to do this as a recurring event, whether that is yearly or quarterly or twice a year. I mean, I think again, we're in the Vancouver is incredibly beautiful, and we can ski in the winter, we can hike in the summer. I would love to share those things that really help my mental health with other people with vitiligo in a group setting, because I just think it would be cool to be in a plane doing a scenic tour with 10 of us. When is that going to happen, right? So
Hmm.
that is the ultimate goal of it, is literally just a group adventure with people with vitiligo to kind of push on their maybe social boundaries and maybe make them feel a little bit more comfortable in a restaurant, for example, because they're in a group, and hopefully they take that away. When they go home, they feel maybe just that little bit more comfortable on their own going to these public
Hmm.
spaces.
Hmm. Well, I'm sure if anyone can make it happen, it certainly is you.
Oh,
Yes,
definitely.
I have the utmost faith in you. It's about connection and community, understanding, and knowing that we're all worthy of a good life,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Yeah. So, if someone is struggling with self acceptance right now, what is the first step they should take?
Definitely reach out. I think
Yeah.
definitely reach out. That was my mistake, was trying to handle it on my own, trying to guard my feelings. But what I've realized is, once you open up and once you talk about it, what does anybody have to say about it, right? Like, and those are your fears. Like, people are going to judge me because I wasn't at my strongest. Okay,
Mm.
I told you now. What are you going to do? You're going to make fun of me, right? Like, I think it's important to talk about it, important to find your community, important to speak to people that you trust, important to speak to people that maybe understand that journey.
Yeah. And what would you say to someone without vitiligo or visible difference who has questions about it, but feels perhaps a little hesitant or uncomfortable about asking them?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth noting that, you know, everybody with vitiligo is probably, it has a different, or maybe at a different stage in their acceptance of their condition. And I always say too that, you know, people that even get to this, there's this idea of acceptance and that you get there, and some people think it's a destination and you get there and everything is rosy. Not necessarily. Some days, you know, I feel like I'm at an acceptance stage, but there are some days that, you know, I go to the post office and I'm like, I don't really want anybody to say anything or ask me any
Mm,
questions or notice that I'm different. So I think knowing that is the first thing, and just being aware of where you ask the question and what
yeah.
you ask. People with vitiligo can be a little bit sensitive. I, for example, used to be really bothered when people would say things like, "You still look good." And I know it's
Oh,
only the one word still,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it implies something there. And
Mhm.
it doesn't really bother me as much anymore because I know the
Yeah.
intention is good. But if you break it down to somebody who is feeling very self-conscious, still, like still, I'm still grieving what I used to look like, kind of thing. So I think it's
Mhm.
just, you know, be aware that people are at different stages, be sensitive about the question, and also be sensitive about where you ask. The amount of times that I've been stopped in the middle of a grocery store, hey, you've got that condition, and I have a friend who's tried X remedy and it
Mhm.
worked for them. And I'm like, well, thank you. You don't know who I am, and you don't know whether I am trying to treat it or I'm happy not treating it. So yeah, just be a bit cautious about where you ask, so that the person is comfortable.
Yeah, that's such good advice, and definitely personally will take that forward as well. And just embrace people for who they are. Like, come on, who needs to make fun of people for anything? Like these days, like there needs to be a lot of love and kindness, and I think you're spreading a lot of that. So I'm deeply appreciative of you and that you came onto the podcast today. Why don't you tell us where people can find you and your group and everything?
Yeah, so we're on Instagram, so you can find us at the Vitiligo Group, and my personal page, it's Omar Sharif, also on Instagram.
Great. Thank you so much, Omar. I really enjoyed talking with you today. And I think the biggest takeaway for me is the not just the importance of other people accepting me, but how vital it is for my mental health to accept myself.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
All right, perfect. Okay, well, have a good day and have a good day to everybody watching our podcast. If you're watching this after the fact, please do share it. This is a very important topic. And I think everybody will have something very valuable to learn from Omar. So take care, everybody. Much appreciation and love going out to you from Stigma-Free Mental Health. And remember, no matter what our challenges, we can all live extraordinary lives. And whatever that extraordinary is for you, that's awesome. Take care and have a great day. Thank you.